organizations and people who are on the ground at the local level here in America and countries around the world really implementing this stuff. So it's not just something you see on Twitter. It's really happening, and we've spoken to farmers around the world who are feeling the negative effects of this, to say the least.
And thank you for clarifying that, Roman, because you know what? I've got friends in the conservative world that I consider close friends. They probably watch this program, or maybe don't watch enough of it, who I'll show them a clip, right, from something that Klaus Schwab has said, or John Kerry, or somebody, it doesn't matter, in this global elite realm, and they'll go, well, that's never going to happen. Or that's crazy. Is that real? And I'm like, do you understand this stuff's happening like yesterday in other countries? And they're pushing for it here in America. It's already here. They're like, no, it's not. We'll never have to eat bugs and fake steak. Really? Talk about the Dutch farmers and the farmers overseas that you spoke with in that clip I just showed, because we've all seen, and we've shown it on this network, you don't see it much in their networks, we've seen what the governments are doing in other European countries already to put the farmers out of business and for the government to take control of the fields.
Yeah, well, you know, as a reporter, I'm sure you experience the same sort of situation. I'm always looking for a good story. And last year, when you already had the Ukraine-Russia war, put a real strain on the global food supply with, you know, politicians around the world saying we're really going to see global food crises. I thought, well, you know, that's interesting. Then amidst that backdrop, you saw protests spring up around the world of farmers coming out and saying our own governments are handcuffing us. It's not some war going on, you know, in Eastern Europe. It's not the macro level stuff. It's our own government that's handcuffing us and forcing us off the land. We saw protests in Europe, in Asia, in India, Oceania. We saw some protests here in North America as well. And so my team and I flew to the Netherlands because that was sort of the epicenter, and it was shocking. I mean, basically what's going on there is that one of the manifestations of this Agenda 21 from the United Nations is this agreement that was signed back in the year 2000. It's called the Natura 2000 Agreement. And it basically designates some areas within the country as natural habitat. Now, with natural habitat being what the politicians decide is natural. And so you fast forward 30 years, and the agricultural sector in the Netherlands is thriving, and it creates more nitrogen naturally, right? That nitrogen is part of the equation of agriculture, and that changes the environment a little bit. It's not necessarily bad or good; it just changes the environment because there's more nitrogen in the soil and the air. But instead of just going back and renegotiating the deal from 30 years ago, the politicians are going ahead and expropriating the land. And most people, you know, most farmers just believe it's because they want the land to build houses for the immigrants that are flooding into the country. So that's what's happening over in the Netherlands. And here in the U.S., I'm sure, you know, most of your audience is much more interested in what's happening in the U.S., although, of course, what's happening in Europe is important. In the U.S., you have a corollary Agenda 30 by 30. So that's sort of the local level implementation of Agenda 2030 at the UN, America's Agenda 30 by 30. And that's a federal government plan to take 30% of America's land and put it into conservation by the year 2030. It's well along, and Biden administration is setting aside a large amount of money every single year to make it happen.
Wow. This is eye-opening, but for me anyway, not surprising. You know, I've seen the writing on the wall. I'm just trying to make sure folks out there see the writing on the wall, that this is happening. I mean, we've already got, and you probably know in your research, Roman, there's factories and research centers and plants around our country already developing all this crap, right? I saw one doing fake chicken, obviously fake meat, the bug thing. They're already doing it and trying to get them on store shelves like yesterday.
Yeah. Well, the reason the bug thing is interesting because I didn't even initially think about putting it into the end investigation. But what happened was that many of the farmers we were speaking to were saying that they know farmers because they're getting kicked off their land. They're moving into insect farming. And so we began calling around and trying to actually speak to these plants. Almost none of them would speak to us, unsurprisingly. But one of them did, and he showed us around his factory. And it's happening. Basically, the short of it is that in order to save the planet, these policies are essentially handcuffing farmers because they quote-unquote pollute the planet too much. And, you know, in order to save the planet, they're going to curtail agriculture. But people still need protein. And so you have the rise of the bug industry. And the European Union recently allowed bugs to be considered a safe food as an ingredient. You have one of the largest insect vertical farms recently opened in France. You have another one coming online here in the U.S. I believe it's coming online in 2025. So it's definitely coming. Don't think this is just something that you see on Twitter. This is it's happening. And I mentioned one other thing. People think that this is very conspiratorial, like, oh, no one's going to come and force you to eat bugs. that might be true. But what might happen is that they'll put in place a regulatory framework such that, let's say a few years from now, you go to the store and a hamburger patty is $47 a pound.
That's exactly what they'll do. They'll price all the regular folks out of eating real meat, right? And then they can also control the supply of it. So you'll end up going to your Albertsons or your Kroger or Vaughn's, and there won't be any hamburger patties or steaks. There'll be impossible meat and, blah, blah covered barbecue bugs. That's what'll happen.
That's for us. For the people implementing the
They'll
elites.
still get their stuff. Right.
That's
the elites are not going to stop eating caviar and Kobe beef. Let me tell you, folks. They just want us, we the people, to eat the crap. That's not going to happen either. There's more of us than them. We got to keep reminding them of that. Roman Balmakov, reporter, Epic Times, and host. Check out his show. Facts Matter. Last question is a real easy one. When does No Farmers, No Food documentary drop so our viewers can watch it?
It drops 8:30 p.m. tomorrow. Just go to nofarmersnofood.com. We're able to snatch up that awesome domain, nofarmersnofood.com, and check it out tomorrow, 8:30 p.m.
Okay, Friday night, 8:30. Roman, as always, thank you. Please come back anytime.
Thank you, Dan. Will do.
Coming up after the break, Ukrainian President Zelensky made his third trip to Washington today to beg for more cash for his proxy war with Russia, but he didn't receive the warm welcome that he thought he would. This after House Speaker McCarthy turns down his request to address a joint session of Congress. More on that when we come back in 2.
Revelation chapter 6 verses 5 through 6 as it reads, "And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him a pair of Slocky, let me read that again. Let's mess this all up. Verse 5, chapter 6 of Revelation. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. Verse 6. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. All praise and honor and glory to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Akad Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the 4 corners of the earth, for the elect, the 144,000, and the chosen, 1/3, and Yasha'Allah. And to you I say, Shalom. Shalom to Ha'akim, Wa'akwa. To all those young and new and faithful in this truth. To all the brothers out there pushing this truth, pushing this word and truth and sincerity. Salakia, I'm all over the place today. Alright. And that goes along with what I'm about to read here. This article. Farmers predict worse food shortages. Higher prices in 2023 amid inflation. Drought interest rate hikes. It's the headline, so it reads. Okay. Drought, supply, chain shortages, and the rising cost of doing business led to a difficult 2022 Salakia for American farmers, but in 2023 could be even worse. A 4th generation dairy farmer said. Now, the violins are for Esau. Okay. Alright. We all know what time it is. I'm going to continue reading. It says, I definitely think I have a food security threat. Stephanie Nash, a Tennessee farmer and agriculture advocate, told Fox News, "I believe 2023 is going to be rough. Worse this year than last year. Worse than this year." Okay. This is an old article from coming off of 2022. All right. But as you can see, I'm gonna continue reading this here. It says food prices have been outpacing overall inflation in 2022 as November food prices showed at a 10.6% increase compared to last year, while overall inflation hit 1.7%, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's the devil, weaponized winter and inflation. You know, it's gonna be some situations where what the hell is this? We're gonna see some things going on. It's gonna tug at people's faith. We got this other article. It says, "Eat this, not that." USA Today. It turns out that these were actually hanging and grazing emergencies instead, meaning that because of drought in these areas, grazing will be allowed for livestock on land previously set aside for a conversation. But while there may not be a public emergency currently at play, the world is certainly still dealing with what has been called a global food crisis. And there are a slew of food shortages which Americans will likely continue to face into 2024. Read on to discover which foods are afflicted and why. They may be harder to find and pricier than ever to purchase at your local grocery store. Rice, okay, as I said, rice is a situations. I mean, a shortage of rice is still on the table until the second half of 2023. The world's rice supply has been ravaged by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, as well as damaging weather in major rice-producing countries like China and Pakistan, you know, but the apostle teaches us to back up off that rice, you know. He's teaching us to wean ourselves off these things, among other type of foods. So far, this says, and now even more concerning factors are at play. El Nino, a weather pattern that results in a typical warming of the water surfaces in the eastern Pacific Ocean, begins to emerge again at the beginning of the summer, causing even more variable weather for many countries. India also announced in July that it would halt its exports of all non-basmati white rice in order to protect its own stockpile and resources. Some areas of the world have felt these effects more than others, but for most, the largest issue will continue to be the damage to your wallet. At the global level, the most evident impact of the global rice deficit has been and still is decade-high rice prices. Fitch Solutions commodities analyst Charles Hart told CNBC, At one point this year, rice prices reached almost $18.50 per or hundredth weight. Now prices have softened down to about $16 per hundredth weight. But analysts predict that they will remain higher than usual at least until New Year. All right, I ain't gonna say it's another one is pasta. We'll keep going. Chocolate, salmon, flour. Okay, of sorts. And I ain't gonna keep going on and on and on. But you get the gist. I'm gonna get to these scriptures right quick. You know, when the famine of the word is on, and it's open season on us. You know, we're gonna be out and about, moving on the move, things of that nature. Isaiah 33:6 will come in, you know. Let me paraphrase that. Let me get that Isaiah 33:6 right quick. Let me see. Bear with me. Yeah, Isaiah 33:6. And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, the strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, is his treasure. Okay. The 1/3 is being trained for discernment and discipline. And this is what the fasting is all about. Faith. Okay. I'm gonna break out some fake scriptures. Let me get those. You know, so basically when we are known, we gonna have to just have faith. Okay. Kind of like the 12 had to have faith. Okay, when Yahweh Shah sent them out to do their job. You know, let me get that. Let me get Mark chapter 6 verses 7 through 9. 8 is really what it is, but you know, I'm gonna go ahead and read it to 9. Okay, and he called unto the Salakia, and he called unto him the 12, and began to send them forth by 2 and 2, and gave them power and unclean spirits, and commanded them that they should take nothing for their journey, save a staff only, no scrip, no bread, no money in your purse. Verse 9, but he shod with sandals and not put on 2 coats. Okay. Verse 9 says, but be shod with sandals and not put on 2 coats. It's like I'm all over the place, guys. I am trying to get myself together here. So please forgive me. Let me see what else. What else comes to mind here? Quite a bunch of other things come to mind. Let me see if I can let me see something. 2 Corinthians. Let me get 2 Corinthians chapter 4. First, I'd like to read chapter 4, verses 10 through 18. Yeah, 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 10 through 18. Okay. All right. As it reads, always bearing, verse 10, always bearing about in the body the dying of the Lord Yahushua, that the life also of Yahushua might be made manifest in our body. Verse 11, for we which live are always delivered unto death for Yahushua's sake. All right. That the life also of Yahushua might be made manifest in our mortal flesh. Verse 12. So then death worketh in us, but life in you. 13. We having the same spirit of faith according as it is written, I believe and therefore I have spoken. We also believe and therefore speak. 14. Knowing that we which raised up the Lord Yahushua shall, no, Salakia, let me read that again. Knowing that he which raised up the Lord Yahushua shall raise up us also by Yahushua, and shall present us with you. Verse 15. For all things that are for your sakes, that the abundant grace might through the thanksgiving of many redound to the glory of the Heavenly Father. Read down. Let me read that again, verse 15. For all things are for your sakes, that the abundant grace might through the thanksgiving of many redound to the glory of the Heavenly Father. For which, verse 16, cause we faint not, but through our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. Verse 17, for our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. Verse 18, while we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen, that the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. All right. So that's what it is. Okay, that's what we have to be, just like our Lord in these coming days. All right, brothers and few sisters, hope you find something about this edifying. Okay, with that, I say Shalom.
Taste the difference.
Salakia. That damn devil. All right. A Bible Ball, DTA. Kwam Yashabala. Shalom.